Welcome back to another video with On Point Politics, and today we're going to be looking at what the Electoral College would look like based on the popular vote. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. And so essentially we're going to be starting out with the most extreme Biden scenario to the most extreme Trump scenario, starting out with Biden+10. Now, this is extremely unlikely to happen, and I actually really doubt this is even within the realm of possibility, but since the video is going to end with Trump+10, I thought it was only fair to start at Biden+10. So essentially, we have the East Coast states basically fill in all safe Democrat. A lot of these states basically come in completely safe for Joe Biden as of right now, including the state of New York, as well as Maine's 1st congressional district. Now, for the safe Republican states, I mean, we have a few. I mean, we have there the Dakotas, we have Nebraska's 3rd, the at-large vote. We have the state of Oklahoma at a couple points there. We have the state of Kentucky at just 17 points, which is really interesting. So that's also really fascinating to see there. States like Oklahoma are still in that safe column. Tennessee, is still in that safe Republican column, including the state of Alabama as well, including the state of West Virginia. That's also something there that's going to stay in the safe Republican column. But that is actually it for all the safe Republican states as of right now. For the likely Democrat states, we'd actually have, believe it or not, I think there's actually a few more safe Democrat states, which is actually kind of insane. But states like Virginia would be in the safe Democrat column this cycle. New Mexico would also be in the safe Democrat column as well. So that's also pretty crazy to see that there too. For the likely Democrat states, we have the states of none other than the state of Minnesota, which is going to be a 14-point win for Joe Biden. Michigan comes in at 9 points for Biden. Wisconsin at just 8 points. Same thing for the state of Pennsylvania. We also have the state of Georgia in this scenario being a 6-point victory, with Arizona being around a 7-point victory for Joe Biden. Nevada would come in at a pretty high victory, but it would only be a 6.3 percentage point win. That's how much the state has actually trended to the right. It's only D+6 in a D+10 national environment. So that really says something there. And I believe that might be it. Well, actually, we have New Hampshire in that column. I believe Maine at large would also be in that column. It's actually barely under the 15-point margin. It actually almost votes safe Democrat, which is really interesting. Now, for the likely Republican states, we have the state of Utah, actually. It's only a 13-point victory for Donald Trump. We also have states like Montana in the likely column, Kansas at just 5 points, Missouri, Arkansas is still a safe Republican state, but it's only a 17-point win. Louisiana and Mississippi are in that column, as well as the state of Indiana in this Electoral College scenario. And for the lean Democrat states, actually, I think I forgot to add North Carolina. Well, no, for the lean Democrat states, we actually have North Dakota and North Carolina and Florida in this column. Believe it or not, those go in that column. I actually forgot to add South Carolina and Nebraska's first in that likely Democrat column, or likely Republican column, and Nebraska second in the likely Democrat column. That already brings Biden to 345 Electoral College votes. And then essentially for the lean Republican states, we have Alaska, Iowa, Ohio, and Maine second. Maine second is 4 points for Donald Trump. Iowa and Ohio, they both come in at about 1 point each, and Alaska would be around a 2 or 3 point victory ish. Hawaii, I forgot to put in that safe column, but funny enough, Texas actually on this map only goes a 1/4 of a point for Donald Trump. So even in a most extreme scenario, Biden would essentially get 349 electoral votes to Donald Trump's 189 Electoral College votes. And so now here we go into the more moderate scenario. It's a similar electorate to 2020. It's actually a Biden+5 national environment. We see states like Idaho, Utah, Wyoming, North Dakotas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Kentucky, Tennessee, Indiana will be in that safe, or actually it's not even in the safe Republican column in this map, as well as West Virginia. Nebraska at large is safe, including the 1st and 3rd congressional districts as well. That's going to put Donald Trump at this point in time in the Electoral College. Nebraska's first is actually under a safe margin, believe it or not. And then we still have some safe Democrat states. Colorado is a 15-point victory, so just trend to the left. Illinois is just a little bit to the left of where it would have been in 2020. Most of the northeastern states end up voting in the safe Democrat column. However, New Jersey is actually right above 15 points, which is interesting. New Mexico ends up going likely, as well as Alaska. Hawaii is safe. States like Missouri, Indiana, and Montana end up getting a little bit closer, including the state of Kansas in this scenario. South Carolina is also in that likely Republican column as well. We have states like Virginia that are at just 10.5 percentage point victories for Joe Biden. New York would be safe. Maine's first, still safe, including Maine at large being likely, with Maine second being a likely state. Iowa and Ohio would obviously be likely Republican states, with Texas actually being only a little bit closer than what it was in 2020. So that's also pretty interesting. The state of Florida would actually come in at around 3.7% for Donald Trump, and states like Nevada would actually still vote for Joe Biden, but they'd actually be a little bit closer, only 1.3 percentage points for Joe Biden there. Meanwhile, Arizona would be a 2.4 percentage point win. We have Georgia at just 1 point for Biden in that scenario. The state of North Carolina would actually be a tilt Republican margin, and we have the state of Minnesota coming in at a likely margin, which it would be around an 8.8 percentage point victory, and then the state of Michigan at 4 points, Pennsylvania and Wisconsin at 2 points each for Joe Biden. We have Nebraska second at a 7.8 percentage point victory, with New Hampshire being likely. So a Biden+5 electorate would roughly bring this map that you actually see on your screen right here. Biden at 303 electoral college votes to Trump's 235 electoral college votes. And so now we're going to be looking at what a tied national popular vote would essentially look like in the electoral college. As of right now, we have these safe Republican states here. Now, once again, all of these states are now going to be in the safe Republican column. States like Iowa come in at 11 points for Trump, with Ohio around the same margin. Nebraska's first, the at-large vote goes safe Republican. States like California are still safe in this scenario, including Connecticut, Vermont, Massachusetts, Maryland, DC, and Rhode Island also go in the safe Democrat column. But even states like Washington and Oregon start to narrow up at just 14 and 12 points for Biden in this scenario. The state of Colorado is actually a 10.7 percentage point victory. The state of Illinois comes in at 12.6 percentage points for Joe Biden. The state of New York in the scenario actually comes in at just 14.5 points for Biden, so that does narrow up from a couple of cycles ago. So that's also really interesting to note there. State of New Jersey and Delaware are both also in the likely Democrat column, making this way closer than before. The state of New Mexico actually comes in at 6.4 percentage points for Biden. So that's also something really interesting to note. The state of Texas actually comes in for Donald Trump at 10.3 percentage points, with the state of Florida coming in at just 8.7 percentage points. South Carolina actually joins the safe Republican column very narrowly, and we have Maine's second congressional district that barely enters this safe Republican column. It's actually a 14-point victory now, and we look at Maine's first, that's a 17-point win. However, the at-large vote is still lean Democrat, including the state of New Hampshire. They are very, very similar. New Hampshire at 4.8 percentage points. Minnesota comes in at just 3.8 percentage points. Nebraska second is still a lean margin, with Virginia also being a likely state at around 5.5 percentage points. We have the state of Alaska, which actually still comes in at a likely margin there. And even the state of Hawaii is only a 7-point victory for Joe Biden. We see the state of North Carolina actually become a 5.1 percentage point victory, as well. And we see states like Georgia coming in basically at 4 points for Donald Trump, Arizona at 2.6 percentage points. The state of Nevada is a 3.7 percentage point victory. And we have states like Wisconsin and Pennsylvania at just around 2 points for Donald Trump. And we have the state of Michigan at 0.8% for Donald Trump. It ends up rounding out to 0.9 because it's 0.88 But that's effectively where the Electoral College would be if we had a tied in national popular vote. It would still be a semi-competitive election, but Donald Trump would obviously be the favorite to win that election cycle. So now we're going to be looking at what a Trump+5 electorate would essentially look like. Again, those safe Republican states from the last map are going to play a big part into this as well. The states of Iowa and Ohio are now in the safe Republican column at around 16-point victories for Donald Trump. State of Florida is going to be still at a 13-point victory, but Texas is now in the safe column, as well as the state of Alaska and a Maine's 2nd congressional district, bringing Donald Trump to 219 electoral votes. California goes in at 17.6 percentage points for Biden. We see Hawaii at just 12 points. Oregon and Washington narrow up. Colorado, 5.7 percentage points for Biden, 7.6 percentage points for Biden in Illinois. In the state of New York, it actually goes all the way down to 9.5 percentage points for Joe Biden as well. The state of New Jersey is at a likely margin as well. So some of the northeastern states also fall into that likely category as well. State of North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada are all in the likely Republican column now, with Nebraska second, actually being a 2.1 percentage point victory for Joe Biden. Maine's 1st congressional district is now just a 12-point victory there, with Maine at large actually narrowly voting for Donald Trump on this map here. We see New Mexico, it's just a 1.4 percentage point victory for Joe Biden on the map. We see states like Wisconsin and Pennsylvania actually be around 7-point victories for Donald Trump, and the state of Michigan comes in at around 5.9 percentage points. We see the state of New Hampshire is a 0.2 percentage point victory, and the state of Virginia, it's very close, but it ends up narrowly going to Donald Trump or Joe Biden as of right now. And the state of Minnesota comes in at 1.2 percentage points there, which brings Donald Trump to 329 electoral college votes to Joe Biden's 209 electoral college votes. And now for the final scenario, Trump+10, here we go. And so basically for these safe Republican states here, we're going to map all of them out here. And we basically see Donald Trump is completely destroying Biden in states like Texas, Florida at 18.7 percentage point victory. Ohio and Iowa coming in at literally 21-point victories for Donald Trump. Those are huge wins in those states. Georgia at 14 points for Donald Trump as of right now. We look in the state of North Carolina. That one's actually safe Republican now. Arizona, 12.6 percentage points. Nevada is even in the safe Republican column now, or almost there. It's 13.7 percentage points. That basically gets Trump very close to the presidency. Nebraska's second is a 7.2 percentage point win. We have California at just 12.6 percentage points for Joe Biden. DC comes in at 69. Maryland, Massachusetts, and Vermont are still in the safe Democrat column, albeit they are much, much closer than before. We also see states here that are like Maine's 1st, just 7 points. Maine's 2nd's a 24-point victory, and Maine at large is actually likely. That already gives Trump the presidency, essentially. And states like Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania are essentially 12-point wins for Donald Trump. Michigan coming in at about 10 points there. We see states like, Hawaii end up narrowing up quite significantly. Hawaii's only a 7-point win for Biden in this electoral college scenario, so things are not looking good for him at all. The state of Rhode Island actually comes in as a likely Democrat state, including the state of Connecticut, but they only come in at just 5-point victories there, which is very, very fascinating. We see the lean Democrat states include Washington at about 4 points for Joe Biden. We have Oregon at just 2 points there. State of Illinois also comes in at around 2.6 percentage points for Joe Biden. We also have the state of Delaware, 3.7 percentage points for Joe Biden there. That's also something really fascinating to look at as well. We also have, more states like New Mexico go into the lean Republican column. Virginia is actually a 4.5-point victory here. And funny enough, Minnesota is actually a likely margin of victory alongside New Hampshire as well for Donald Trump, which is really fascinating. The state of New York is in the lean Democrat column as well, just 4.5 percentage points there. And the last two states, Colorado at just 0.7 percentage points for Joe Biden, and the state of New Jersey at 0.13 for Joe Biden there. So Donald Trump essentially almost flips the states of Colorado and New Jersey, giving him 371, but using the exact number of a deep R+10. It basically still gives the electoral college result that we have on the map right now. However, this is because Donald Trump, a lot of these states are very left trending states, and it's going to take a lot for him to actually flip those on the national level. So I'm not surprised that they are still not even flipping at this point in time. And so if you guys did enjoy this video and looking at the different popular vote scenarios for each scenario, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you want more content just like this. And I will see you guys in the next video.